Good afternoon and welcome to round 21 of the 2024 GB3 Championship here at Donington Park on the Derbyshire-Nottinghamshire border in the heart of the East Midlands, where today we've had kind of weather that's changed every single time we've had any action on track really. It started off really cold and wet earlier this morning, then the sun came out a little bit, then the sun came out an incredible amount, and then you've kind of missed all the sun because we're back now and it's kind of gone overcast again. But it's a lot drier, isn't it, Piers?
Absolutely. I mean, the ground here below us in the assembly area is dry for the first time, I think, all weekend. I love the way we start all these broadcasts talking about the weather, proper British show.
I feel like if you're watching in other countries, I know we have a lot of Polish viewers, we have viewers from Australia, New Zealand, over in the States, in North America, South, basically everywhere in the world. I just think it's nice to reflect on what's going on here, because everyone assumes in Britain it's going to be cold, wet and miserable, whereas it's for once it's not miserable. Yeah. It's cold and has been wet, but we're certainly happy anyway. We've had two great races in the GB3 Championship so far this weekend, and let's just remember what happened a bit earlier today as Louis Sharp did basically what he did yesterday in the first race of the weekend.
Louis Sharp with an excellent start for his teammate, though. Freddie Slater was coming straight across the nose of Noah Ping, squeezing him down the inside at turn one, dropping Ping back a few positions. However, Freddie Slater was able to hang on to fourth. Louis Sharp was comfortably in the lead, though, as he was battling his way down into the old hairpin. Everyone else there behind having a little bit of a challenge. Mackenzie Cresswell getting down the inside of Will McIntyre, and Patrick Huizenrode going out a little bit wide. For Sebastian Murray, he was out wide, though, going into McLean. Out into the gravel trap he would go before bringing it back onto the race circuit. A big move to the inside, though, coming down from Noah Ping as he was firing one down the inside of John Bennett, costing him second position in the championship. Freddie Slater, though, going on the attack for his first ever podium down the inside of Gerard Shee, going down into the Melbourne hairpin, and Freddie Slater was up then into third position. Was really attacking the circuit as well, as he was desperately trying to close his way down into second position. However, it was a second that was going to be held at this point by Timothy Kuharczyk. Will McIntyre, Kuharczyk's teammate, was having a little bit of a fight with Mackenzie Cresswell down the back end of the top 10. And whilst Kuharczyk had to settle for second, it was a fourth victory for Louis Sharp, who extends his championship lead even further.
Another great race for Rodin's Louis Sharp there, and he did exactly what he wanted to. He told me after the first race win yesterday on Saturday that he just wanted to replicate it again. Pole position all the way, lights the flag victory for Louis Sharp, and it means he's now got a 33-point lead at the top of the championship over Timothy Kuharczyk, who's then got a 2-point lead over John Bennett. So we've got a really exciting title battle, and this race, Piers, the reverse grid race, because they're out of position, there's a lot of points to be made up here for overtakes. Yeah,
less points for race wins or position in this one, but a few bonus points for overtaking. So those drivers who qualified up at the front of the field, we're looking to get their way as high up the grid as possible. One, because of course they're racers and they want to do that, but two, for the championship challenges, every point is an extra point, every position is an extra point gained.
I've just seen John Bennett, who is third in the championship, 35 points off the lead, warming up outside the JHR awning, and he said to me that he needs all the points he can get in this race. He is putting a lot of focus into this because he wants to close that gap before coming into the final 3 rounds at Brands Hatch, because when someone like Louis Sharp has a weekend like he's had, it just puts so much pressure on you if you're in third place, let alone Timothy Kuharczyk in second. And we have seen this year, especially Timothy and Louis, that they have had weekends where they've kind of dominated.
Yeah, I think he's right. John Bennett needs a good result in this one because Louis has been so dominant this weekend. I mean, double pole position, 2 dominant race victories. He's getting close to running away with the championship at this late stage. You mentioned, I think it's 33 points, isn't it?
33 points he leads, yeah.
And obviously a win in race 1 or race 2 is 35 points. So if he heads into the final 3 races, final event at Brands Hatch with more than a 35-point gap, he can still afford to have a DNF and win the championship, which is a very comfortable position to be in. So Bennett, Kuharczyk, and I suppose an outside chance as well, McIntyre, they all want to keep within that gap if they can of that 35 points, so that they're keeping the pressure on as much as possible, because as much as he might still have a bit of a buffer, it makes it a bit more uncomfortable if you know you have to finish a race.
Now, it's not mathematically a 3-horse race, although it is likely the next champion will come from those 3 drivers, and it's something that we kind of saw last year, isn't it, really, with eventual winner Callum Voisin along with Alex Dunn and Joseph Loake battling it out throughout the season last year. All 3 of those drivers went on, they've just completed the season in FIA F3, all of them doing incredibly well. Alex Dunn I was particularly impressed with. He seemed to really get to grips with that car a lot quicker than the others, but Callum Voisin had some pretty good results toward the end of the year as well, and also some positive moves from Joseph Loake. He was back here this weekend. He handed out the trophies on Saturday, and Piers caught up with him to find out how his season's gone on and also how he got on driving this F1 car he drove.
So some of you will recognise this face in front of you right now. This is Joseph Loake. Joseph, great to have you back in the paddock. Of course, last season you were with us, JHR, you took the championship fight right to the wire, didn't quite happen. But how does it feel to be back in the paddock that you raced last season?
It is cool, seeing a lot of familiar faces that are around, obviously the Road and GB3 team, and obviously JHR as well. They're all a family to me in different ways, and to see them again is always very nice.
Absolutely, and you've moved on to bigger things, moved up in the motorsport ladder, GB3 last season with JHR, then graduated to F3, FIA F3 with Rodin actually this season. Just sum up the season from yourself, because it's quite a big step up to go from a UK-based championship that goes abroad to a fully fledged Formula One following championship.
Yeah, for sure. It's been very difficult this year. I've had highs and lows. You know, Monaco scoring points was cool, but then there's been so much pace there, and just no results have really come from it, and it's been a bit of a shame. I would have liked, you know, more points, maybe even a podium, but it wasn't meant to be. You know, I learned a lot, and hopefully, if I do get another year at it, I'll be able to put it all to good use and be able to fight for a championship, hopefully. Absolutely,
and of course it is your first year in FIA F3. You jumped up, it was only 1 year last year that you did in GB3, so you've moved up the ladder quite quickly, and hopefully we'll see you in FIA F3 again next year, and I'm sure you'll be able to show what you can absolutely do then. But you've not just been driving an F3 car. Joseph, for those who don't know, Joseph won an award last year. Why don't you tell us a bit about what you won towards the end of last year and what that's meant for your career up till now, and what the experiences you've got from it?
Yeah, so I managed to win the Aston Martin Autosport BRDC Young Driver of the Year award, which was obviously pretty incredible. I managed to win it against probably the odds a little bit, I think, which was quite nice. And yeah, just it gave me the leap up into F3 to start with, and then one of the main prizes was to win the test drive in an F1 car, which I can't thank BRDC Autosport Aston Martin enough for.
I'll just jump in there, and I'll go for those at home who don't know the award. It's one of the most prestigious awards for young drivers. I remember when I was racing, it was something I was aspiring to try and even get selected to be on the shortlist. You were shortlisted, drove an old Formula 2 car, was it a DTM car or GT3 car?
GT3, yeah.
At Silverstone, and everything was analysed against a number of the best talent in the UK at your level, and you were selected as the winner. And you mentioned the prize. Let's just talk about that. It wasn't that long ago. Just tell everyone at home what you managed to do and how it was and what it was like to drive an Aston Martin Formula 1 car.
I mean, obviously the car's pretty incredible. Like it's something that I can't even describe. You're going through corners way quicker than you could ever imagine. Your brain is like having to speed up everything like crazy. And yeah, it was just ridiculous. Like every single aspect of it, the braking, the acceleration, the G-force through the corners, everything felt so unreal. It was like, yeah, crazy.
Did you feel prepared? Because obviously having driven very fast machinery in GB3 and then Formula 3 cars, was it just more of the same, or was it like a completely different planet? Most people don't get to drive a Formula 1 car in their life. Most racing drivers don't even get to drive a Formula 1 car. What was it actually like as a person?
It was, yeah, like I say, I can't really describe it. It's nothing like anything you'd imagine. Obviously, F3, F2, everything, you know, below F1, everything's so on the limit. You feel like you're properly, you know, on the limit.
Yeah.
Whereas the F1 car, you feel like you're dawdling round because there's no sliding, because you can't slide, because otherwise the aero doesn't work. So everything's just chilled out, and all you do is turn, and the car does the rest of the work for you.
Wow.
And obviously at that speed, to trust a machine that much is just, you know, it takes so much kind of almost believing that it's not real to do it.
Yeah,
like, I was driving around going, this isn't real, so it's fine, I'll just do everything flat out.
Yeah, and of course you've driven it plenty on the sim, I'm sure, but it's a different thing doing it in real life.
Yeah, for sure. You know, but like I said, the good thing about it is that because it's so quick, it almost doesn't feel real. So like you're going through cops flat out at 200 mile an hour, but it doesn't feel that scary, if that makes sense.
Because you know the car can do it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so incredibly quick that you don't believe it. Like even with your own eyes, you're like, this isn't possible. And then you do it, and you're like, oh, it was possible, and it was really easy.
Amazing.
So yeah, I think I was flat through cops by lap 3 or something like that, just because it kind of introduces you to going quicker. Like it feels so easy to do.
It's amazing to hear, and also it's great to see that you've moved on, an example of someone who's moved on from the GB3 Championship and gone on to bigger and better things. Just before we round out this interview, it's great to have you back in the paddock. So I was listening to you on Jonas's podcast, and you were saying some of the highlights of the year, but recently, of course, in the FIA F3 Championship, you raced at Silverstone, and that sounded like an amazing experience.
Yeah, my first home Grand Prix was absolutely incredible. the first time that people actually recognised me, not because I was just a driver in a race suit, but because they actually knew me and, you know, actually supported me, and it was the most surreal thing ever.
Signing autographs.
Yeah, and I was up on the main stage on the Thursday, I think it was. I think it was the Thursday, and the fact that people were actually shouting my name and stuff like that is just the most crazy thing, because I never thought I would ever get to a point like that in my life. Amazing. Where people actually supported me and were like shaking to meet me and stuff. I'm like, I'm just normal, I'm no different.
Absolutely not. But Joseph, it's great to have you back in the paddock. Thank you for coming to chat to us. Great to show everyone what drivers in the GB3 Championship can go on and do, and we wish you all the best in the future. We hope that you can find a seat in F3 again for next year and then go on from there as a driver in the future. So thanks for chatting to us.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear from Joseph Loake there. Nice for you to catch up with him. He is a driver that will love to drive anything. I mean, he got wind that there might be an extra car this weekend, and actually we'll talk about that in just a second. And he was like, well, I've got my race kit in my car. He was like, you know, I'm available. I mean, doing amazing things at the moment in FIA F3, just finished his season with Rodin, and here back in the paddock. And you know what? He is desperate to drive that new GB3 car. I think you're probably quite desperate to drive the new GB3 car.
I'll drive it for the telly if anyone wants me to.
Okay, so Piers drove the new GB4 car, which you can watch over on the GB4 broadcast. You can watch it in two parts on race 1 and race 2, and Piers had an excellent time, and you know, new machinery next year as well. And actually the GB3 cars will become the GB4 cars next year, because they're kind of being modified in a way to become GB4 cars. So good sustainability.
Absolutely, of course, it's effectively passing the baton on. Of course, these GB3 cars are a big step up, but they're, you know, getting a little bit less downforce, slightly different engine capacity, or configuration, so that it conforms to the GB4 or the new GB4 regulations. So it works well, and of course we'll see a brand new field of GB3 cars next year, which very much looking forward to. Some increased safety, increased power, increased downforce, more tyre grip. It's going to be great. Yeah, we're going to take a look at the grid in just a second. But speaking of people driving different cars, Sean Rashid has been driving an F2 car recently. I saw on his Instagram, and he released a statement there. I'm sure that'll be on his YouTube channel. What's his YouTube channel called? Oh, is it Sean to F1?
Sean to F1, I think, I believe. Yeah, so Sean Rashid has always got a video crew with him filming things, and earlier on we caught up with him.
So Sean, we've heard over the last few weeks that you've been out testing the Formula 2 car. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's well, I've been trying to figure out options for next year, and you know, I've done 2 years of GB3 now, and I've learned a lot. But just me and my small team thought it'd be a good idea to try and get into some of the upper categories, and so yeah, we tested with Campos and a GB2 car at Mugello for 2 days about a week and a half ago. And it was actually like the 2 days before the test we had here. So it was a long 3 days, but yeah, it went really well. Engineer and team were super happy, made a lot of progress, and we were about a second off of the pace there. So for the first test, it went really well.
And how does that, you know, going from a car like that into these GB3 cars, how does that compare, and how difficult does that kind of make it for you?
Yeah, it's a massive, massive difference. Everything about from how you drive to the car to the car itself is very different. You know, it was my first time dealing with carbon brakes, DRS. You know, those cars are over 600 horsepower and just much bigger tires that are much more sensitive. So it was a lot to get used to, and that's kind of what that whole 2-day test was about, just getting used to all the different things. But more than that, the style of racing is very different to what GB3 is like. The tire there, it's the racing is a lot more about tire management, and so that's one of the big learning curves there, is how to manage the individual tires in the car, because it's not like GB3 where, you know, we have a sprint race and we're pretty much just trying to put quality lap after quality lap. There's not much tire management that goes on. In that car, you have to learn to drive off of the pace that you can to preserve tires for the longevity of the race, and different style of driving to how you save the individual tires based on what you need. So it's a lot to learn, but I'm a quick learner and I picked it up pretty quick. There's definitely still more to learn, but we'll have a lot more tests in the future. So.
And how have you found this weekend here at Donington? The weather's been a bit difficult. How have you found it?
Yeah, I've been struggling this weekend here, which is strange. I'm usually very quick here at Donington. It's been one of my favorite tracks, but I've just really been struggling on balance. Trying to get the balance into the right window to suit my driving style, and yeah, it's been difficult, and the weather conditions haven't helped. It's been really intermittent in between dry, wet, and we didn't get any wet running into the 2 days or even last week, so a bit tricky, but still learning a lot, just taking as opportunities to try and improve my driving and everything. So
thank you much, Sean, and enjoy the next race.
Good to hear from Sean Rashid, and his teammate actually had a pretty decent race. Noah Ping, we can see behind us in the number 3 VRD by Arden car here, and actually Noah Ping has had a better weekend than we saw last time out, because he finished 4th on the road, but due to a decision made by the stewards, him and Freddie Slater had a bit of an incident on the in fact before the first corner on the start straight, where I think Freddie Slater was seen to have impeded him. So actually Freddie Slater lost that 3rd place, and he swapped positions with Noah Ping. So Noah Ping actually getting a trophy for finishing 3rd there. So a good weekend for him so far. A great driver in these reverse grid races, because Noah Ping fully sends it whenever he possibly can, and Naomi caught up with him earlier.
So we saw the incident with you and Freddie at the beginning of the race, of race 2. What was the kind of initial decision from that?
Yeah, the stewards decided that it wasn't enough racing room that was given to me from Slater, so unfortunately it forced me off track and I lost a few positions on the start, but we were able to make it up through the race, and G got a timed 2nd penalty, and then they put Slater behind me, so we ended up on the podium. Wish I could have been there in person, but we got the trophy and we got the points, which is really nice. So it's good to see that they made a good decision. I think the right decision. People might argue otherwise, but it's fair racing, it's clean racing, and that's what we love to see.
Yeah, and how difficult have you found the conditions to even race fair in these conditions?
Yeah. You know, nothing like getting 2 full dry days of testing and then having 2 wet races and a wet quali. So it's been hard. You have to be on it every single lap, and the track is changing every lap, you know. Especially the last race, it just gets drier and drier, and you kind of have to adapt to the conditions. So it's definitely hard. It's mentally taxing more than physically, but it's good fun, and that's why we love this championship.
And what are your plans for this afternoon's final race?
Don't get caught up in any incidents and just keep my head forward. I know we have pace on the guys in front of us, and I think, knock on wood, it's going to be dry. So we had good pace in the dry, so it's about just eyes forward, hitting our marks, and hopefully making up a few positions.
Thank you, Noah. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
There's Noah Ping, one of our American drivers, and we've got an American starting 3rd for the Arden Motorsport team. Max Taylor racing his first weekend. I think he could be a threat from 3rd. Mackenzie Creswell 2nd. Arthur Rojon, who we know can win these reverse grid races, Piers. I think it's going to be really fascinating to see. We've got some fans behind us who are going to go and ask them after we hear from our next driver who they support. Okay, first of all, let's hear from one of our new drivers on the grid.
So how did you find race 2 finishing P17?
Really good. I think, you know, big improvement from qualifying, which was, you know, my first time driving the car in the wet, to the 2nd time in race 2. We finished P17. I think that wasn't so representative of our pace. You know, I think there was a big group of cars ahead, maybe 6-7 cars that I was catching the whole race, but I got caught up in a little battle before, so yeah, couldn't make up those positions.
And how's your first weekend in the GB3 car been as a whole?
I think, you know, challenging for sure. I think I don't have like the experience level and that the other drivers do, and they're good drivers as well. So it's been tough. It's been a steep learning curve for sure, but you know, I have a lot to learn, looking to learn from, you know, other drivers, my teammates. So it's been really fun. Yeah, challenging myself as well.
And what are your hopes for this afternoon in the reverse grid race?
I think depending on conditions, I think it'll be dry. I think my pace in the dry is pretty good. So I think, you know, starting from the back, I think I just try to, yeah, pick off people and keep going forward.
Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Alex Catoulis there speaking in the Fortec awning with our very own Naomi Newman. We've all got alliteration names: Naomi Newman, Jon Jackson, Piers Pryor. It's a little bit confusing. I'm just going to go and ask these fellas who they're supporting today. Come with us, cameraman Ben, because you know, I think we've got to do it, right? Okay. Who speaks English? Anyone speak English? Okay. First of all, Cześć. Who are you supporting?
Of course, Tim McGlade.
Really?
Yeah, the best driver ever.
Okay. Have you come from Poland, or are you based in the UK?
We live in Northampton.
Okay, that's not quite where I was expecting. So you've come here to support him. 2nd in the championship at the moment. He's got a 33-point gap. Can he still do it?
Yeah, there is still hope for championship. So yeah, there will be championship this year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. And have we got any people that have come from Poland for this, or are you all based in Northampton?
No, some they from Birmingham. Some of them from Nottingham, Doncaster. Yeah, we're from all over the UK.
I love that. And are you fans of Timek because he's racing in GB3, or do you all know each other before? How have you come together?
Well, I know him from one Polish journalist, Cezary Gutowski. I think I know him from Cezary Gutowski. And I started following him since he started racing in GB3. Well, I follow him when he was racing in Spanish F4. And then we was lucky, he started racing in UK for GB3.
Amazing. So it's nice and close for you. Up the M1, easy.
Yeah.
Excellent. What was your name?
Maciek.
Well, look, thank you very much. We love having you in the back of the shot, and we know that you're massive supporters. And I'm sure you'll be waving these flags throughout the race.
Yeah, we always support Timek.
There we go. Thank you very much. There we go. Absolutely loving Timek Harchik. I mean, you've got to step up. If you support a different driver on the grid now, I mean, that's the biggest flag I've seen at a GB3 event, and they've got Timek on it as well. So super impressive. The safety car is about to potentially cause our cameraman Ben some damage. No, he's stopped. We're okay. We're all good. The cars are ready to go out. We could potentially hear from another driver. I don't know if maybe we should or not, because it doesn't look like they're going out now. No, they're not at all. No. Okay, so Artur Rojon, we know he can win reverse grid races. He's starting on pole position. We've seen 2 Rodin cars start, well, same car, but we've seen 2 race wins from pole position with Louis Sharp in the first 2 races. Are they going to get a complete clean sweep this weekend?
Would be a good weekend for Rodin if Artur Rojon could turn this into a Rodin clean sweep. But he's got some tough competition behind. Mackenzie Cresswell, also, of course, a race winner. He's also on the front row, and we know that he can be quick.
Colin Quinn as well. We've got Colin Quinn in the Fortec.
Yeah,
he's due a podium.
He very much is due a podium. We've got Max, of course, Max Taylor, we just spoke to as well, and we spoke to a number of times this weekend. New driver, Arden Motorsport, giving him a good car. And then, Will McIntyre's down in 5th. He's in 5th place. If he gets a good start, he could be well in that. And he's won a couple of reverse good races, hasn't he?
Someone else that's been named on the long list for the Autosport Aston Martin BRDC award this year. So, very much been, recognised as being a young talent who's doing amazing things. And it's good to see so many people around, because sometimes towards the end of a Sunday, the crowds can go away. And I don't think I've seen as many people actually waiting around here looking at the cars as I have so far. We're going to take a quick detour. I'm just going to walk in front of you. He's going to speak to the man behind MSV, the GB3 Championship, Mr. Jonathan Palmer. He loves it when I do this. He's deep in conversation. Let me see if JP will speak to us. Are we able to have a quick word? JP, you're here. We've got another championship where we've got 3 drivers, mathematically we can have more, but 3 drivers all fighting for the championship, and it's going to go down to the last weekend, which is perfect.
Yeah, I think it will. Obviously, Louis Sharp's had a great run this weekend here at Donington, but he's going to have a tougher job being further back in this one. But it's exactly as we wanted, and that's that we got reliable running. Hopefully that'll keep going from the cars, and weather conditions pretty perfect now after the early morning rain and tricky conditions. So I think we'll be in for a great race, and then setting things up very nicely for the finale at Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit.
I feel like you brought the good weather with you, Jonathan, so thank you for that. And also, with the future of GB3 and GB4 is looking great with the new cars next year. You must be really excited to see them out there.
Yeah, I really am. GB3 has proved an enormous success, and the quality of our winners, like Luke Browning in Formula 3, finished 3rd in the FIA Formula 3 Championship, and he could have won it too. Just shows what a magnificent training ground and proving ground GB3 is. And for next year, we're taking a big step forward. The current car is really based on the original F4 car, with it's a bit like an F4 car on steroids on downforce and engine power. The new car, though, is very much built to another level, the Formula Regional level in between Formula 4 and Formula 3. The same sort of technical regulations in some ways as the Formula, as FRECA as it's known. But our car is a lot more sophisticated. We've got real focus on continuing the theme of lightweight. We've got a titanium halo, we've got DRS on it, we've got another 30-40 horsepower, a lot more aero. It's going to be an amazing championship next year, and not just from the car, from the calendar as well. So we've got more European races. We've got Spa, we've got Hungary, we've got Zandvoort, and the championship finishing at Monza. So I think that's looking really good. And a GB4 is benefiting from the change to the new GB3 car, because these current GB3 cars are going to get downgraded to GB4. So it'll have the advantages of course, Halo, which we always wanted, and it'll have a very, very reliable and equal 2-litre normally aspirated engine at the right power to weight ratio. For the 15-year-olds to start their careers in GB4.
I know a lot of the teams are very eager to get these cars. Piers Priors drove the car last weekend, and you were very impressed, weren't you?
Yeah, I went Wednesday last week. Just a couple of sessions. We did a little feature which has gone out on the GB4 show. So if you haven't seen it, then make sure you watch it back. And
excellent.
it was
how's the talent, Piers? Are you
don't need to worry about that anymore.
He won't tell you, Jonathan. He was a second off the best lap time on old tyres.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And it was probably not ideal conditions. Probably a bit damp as well, Piers.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
You had to commentate as he went around as well.
Yeah, there are a load of factors. I tell you, when you retire as a race driver, there are so many factors that come in when you start comparing your lap times, with other people. We put ourselves in pole position for every race, really, don't we?
Absolutely.
But I know Piers is very grateful that he got the opportunity as well.
No, I did. And I was going to say it was cool for me because obviously I raced in 2020, and what was then the British F3 is now GB3, and the car is effectively the new GB4 car is almost a sort of an evolution of that, and it's obviously brought down to sort of the right level in terms of speed, but it felt really intuitive to drive. I got in it after 4 years out of the seat and felt right at home, so I'm hoping it'll be great for the young drivers, and it's cool that we've got the continuation of the same cars.
Yeah, it is actually, but I think one of the most important things is that we've got with GB4, we've got a championship that is as inexpensive as a single-seater championship possibly can be. It's probably about half to two-thirds the cost of British F4, and that's where it's pitched. British F4 is a great championship, but there are a lot of people that can't raise the sort of 350, 400,000 budgets for that. And at GB4 at 200,000, you got to, it's still a hell of a lot of money, but you got a real chance to try and learn your skills, prove what you can do, and then justify moving up.
And I think it's going to continue what we've seen for many, many years of drivers going from this championship and going on to do great things with George Russell, Lando Norris, now Ollie Behrman joining the grid next year as well. And we've seen drivers go on and do F1 Academy and different championships now. So, I mean, the sky's the limit, really.
That really is the super exciting thing for me, that to see these guys see or create a platform so that drivers can learn, the best can come to the cream, can come to the top, and then watch them hopefully get towards Formula One. And it's been enormously satisfying to see our BRDC F4 champion George Russell soar his way up to Formula One, and such a brilliant job in Formula One. Of course, Lando Norris had a race. He didn't do a full series, but in British F3 as it was at the time. And I'm sure we're going to see Luke Browning in Formula One and others too. And I think next year in GB3, I'll be very surprised if the winner of our GB3 Championship doesn't get himself into Formula One. Formula One is in great shape. It's never been such a meritocracy as it is now. If you are really, really good, you're going to make Formula One now, which is the way it should be.
We couldn't see like a Palmer Sport 11th team in F1. You're not tempted?
I've got enough to do at the moment. No.
Too busy.
Yeah, too busy.
Well, look, it's great that we have these new cars. We're great that we have the talent. It's great that we go to more F1 tracks next year in GB3. And thanks for sparing some time. I know that we jumped on you there, Jonathan. Thank you.
No problem.
There we go. Jonathan Palmer, the boss of MSV, who put on all these races and also have most of the racetracks as well. And he's saying some great things there. We have seen drivers go on and do great things. We have Chloe Grant in F4, that's done GB4. She's then gone on to F1 Academy. She's now back in GB4. And think of the experience she's got from racing around the world. We heard from Joseph Loake before. I mean, he was racing in Melbourne. He's been racing across Europe. I mean, what an amazing thing for him to do. It's just, it's starting off some amazing careers and continuing a lot of careers as well. So Will McIntyre, I believe, was starting fourth, isn't he? Or fifth? He's starting fifth on the grid for High-Tech Pulse 8. And earlier on, he spoke with Naomi Newman.
So, Will, quite a consistent weekend for you. How's it been for you in the car?
It's not been the greatest. I got unlucky with yellow flags and traffic and quali, so I wasn't up there for the race. And then the first race it was really difficult because obviously with one dry line I couldn't overtake, so I just had to maximise on what I could of people's mistakes in front, and especially starting on the wrong side of the grid, meaning I had a wet start, that didn't help as well. So I got an okay first race, made up a position, and then that race I got hindered a bit with Fred pushing Ping off the track before T1, and then also getting pushed off by Noah on the exit of T1. So just realistically this weekend I've had pace to be top 3, top 4, but just no luck whatsoever it seems.
How difficult have you been finding the conditions in the car?
Yeah, they've been pretty difficult. I mean, you never know what tyres are going to be on the car before the race, so once we sort of go out on the track and you got wets or slicks on the car, you just got to fully send it and see what you can do.
And just before this interview, we heard Louis Sharp saying that you're going to be the winner of the reverse grid race. What are your hopes for the race?
A win. That's what I've come here to do. He's won 2 races this weekend, so I need to sort of just do the best I possibly can, just to get maybe P3 in the championship, because now the championship lead is looking quite out of reach.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Will. Thank
you. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Will McIntyre on that long list for the BRDC. I get it all the wrong way around all the time. Autosport Aston Martin BRDC. As long as you say that, award supported by Silverstone Circuits Limited. I think that's what it is. Anyway, Will McIntyre, a real talent in GB3. And Piers, you've noticed something about the tyres?
Yeah, well, of course, in GB3, normally on a dry race weekend, you have 2 full sets of slick tyres, and they'll use both in qualifying, and then they've got a selection of used tyres to use tactically throughout the 3 races. Of course, we had a wet qualifying and then a wet race 2, so they used 1 set of brand new slick tyres in race 1. Everyone's kind of on equal footing in this one for race number 2. Brand new tyres, so getting them up to temperature is going to be crucial. Be a bit easier seeing as the sun's come out, but not really any tyre advantage from people saving their newest tyres for the reverse grid race.
I'm going to ask you this question. I ask you this every season, and I feel like now's the right time. When you see the new tyres with the stickers on,
yes,
why don't they just pull the stickers off?
They don't need to.
I know the road's going to take it off. Why don't they just?
You're allowed to ask the team. I honestly don't know.
Surely it's just a case of.
I think
they're so busy they can't do it.
I think they're stuck a bit
on
hard.
pretty hard.
Yeah.
All right, fine, good. Piers has also been doing a little bit of investigative work. I like this. During the break we've had in the day, Piers was in what was it, the VID by Arden garage?
Yeah, well, I popped by and I was chatting to the guys. They're a friendly bunch, and of course Noah Ping in that last race got shoved a little off at the start, so he ended up on the podium, swapping positions with Freddie Slater. But Noah Ping had the opinion that this we've had 2 good results. This reverse grid matters less. Let's go full send. I think he's going to. They're doing a few setup changes on the car to make it quick in a straight line so that he can hopefully do a few overtakes. So we'll keep an eye on him for coming through the field.
We saw a chap, which we believe to be Noah Ping's dad, we assume, and he was giving it the full send on the electric scooter just like his son does in the car, which I think it obviously runs in the family. You might be able to hear behind, the whistle has gone, the cars are going out there. So it's a reverse grid race. We've got Arthur Rojon in the Rodin car on pole position. We know he can win from this position. If he does, that will be a clean sweep for Rodin this weekend. 3 pole positions, 3 race wins, 3 podiums, and a whole lot of trophies to take home with them. For the final time this weekend, it's round 21 of the GB3 Championship here at Donington Park. So let's go racing.
The final race of the Donington Park weekend in what has been an exciting one for the championship has allowed Louis Sharp to pull nearly a race victory clear at the lead of the championship. What will he go into the season finale with though as we get ready for the final race at Donington Park? It's been an incredible journey thus far. Even since we've returned over to the British Isles, it has been turned up to 11 championship wise. We're here at Donington Park. We get ready for one final race for that final round at Brands Hatch. It has been a tricky run here for various drivers at Donington, including Timek Kuharczyk, who had a moment in the first race, John Bennett, who had struggles in the last race where he was unable to score too many points and dropped back quite a fair way in the championship. Will this be the race where they can turn things around and maybe claw back some of that gap? It is a tricky circuit, we've said that time and time again, and it is one that, with the conditions that we have, should be quite good fun. It's nice blue skies, absolutely beautiful here at Donington Park. We get to see this track 2.5 miles race. They are using dry tyres, no need for the wets in this afternoon race, which does mean that quite a lot of drivers will be dealing with basically brand new tyres. They probably weren't expected to be running on the dry tyres at this point on Sunday, as all the weather forecasts were leaning towards it being a wet race. Let's take a look then at the starting grid as Arthur Rojon will start from pole position for Rodin Motorsport alongside Mackenzie Cresswell, potentially the favourite for the race victory. Max Taylor on debut will start from 3rd position with Colin Queen starting from 4th. Could he be seeking out a podium? Will McIntyre from 5th, driver who's won plenty of times in GB3 thus far, alongside Hugo Schwarzer in 6th place after struggles in the previous race. Freddie Slater, who finished the race on the podium but dropped back to 4th position, will start from 7th. Noah Ping will start from 8th position. He was the driver that he got a penalty for. John Bennett will start from 9th position with Gerard Shee starting from 10th place. place. And then we get to the final row that was reversed. Teammate Kuharczyk and championship leader Louis Sharp. The top two in the championship starting from 11th and 12th. Then those that weren't reversed. So Jared Oberski from 13th position. And Ditcher Kulkarni, who's having his best weekend in GB3, will start from 14th position, with Patrick Huitzenroder in 15th position. And Nikita Johnson for VRD Racing by Arden starting from 16th place. In 17th, it's Sean Rashid and Josh Irfin starting from 18th on the 9th row of the grid. The 10th row sees Sebastian Murray and Jacob Douglas, before we see the final row to round out the grid with just the sole driver of Alex Catalyst. We get ready for what is going to be quite an exciting final race. Do remember, always the final race of the weekend will be up to 25 minutes of racing rather than the 20 that we had in the previous. Of course, the last race we ran to time rather than out to the full lap distance. And as always, it'll be Lewis McGlade and Piers Pryor in the comedy booth to take you through the final race of this Donington Park weekend. It looks lovely out there. It's quite warm, actually.
It is pretty bit of an Indian summer going on in September here, but yep, 21 degrees, a little bit of a breeze. Perfect conditions for GB3 racing. It'll help these brand new slick tyres get up to temperature, and we should see some pretty good racing.
Who wins? Who wins, Piers?
Whoever gets into turn one first, I reckon.
Yeah, they're straight up, no overtaking for the race lead.
I think it will, because it's just so close, but there'll be plenty of overtaking up and down the field. That's my prediction.
I'm not going to be a wimp. I'm going to go for Mackenzie Cresswell. I think he's going to do it around the outside at turn one. I'm not sitting on the fence like you. Either way, the lights will come on and we'll get ourselves racing for 25 minutes onto the clock. The laps we put up there as well are DeRojon in control. Of course, the lights will come on and they will go out, and the final race is underway. Max Taylor with a slow start, though, from third position. Already straight to the outside comes Will McIntyre in the 21. Up to fourth position goes Will McIntyre. Colin Queen straight up onto the podium. Will McIntyre down the inside, though, in the high-tech Pulsate car, and it will be Colin Queen to hang firm. Straight around the outside and out wide goes one of, that was Hugo Schwarzer, I believe, in the Elite Motorsports car, driving right the way down the order, way too deep into turn one.
Yeah, just understeered off the circuit on the exit, clearly not quite counting for the grip that he had underneath him with the tyres, maybe not fully up to temperature. We saw almost three wide in the mid-pack, and Louis Sharp there fighting with his championship rival, Timothée Kuharczyk. I think he's actually made his way past Kuharczyk.
Look at this from Colin Queen. He's able to also fend off. There is the battle between Freddie Slater and Max Taylor. Out wide goes Catalyst, I believe, who's trying to run wide. In fact, no, as we'll see Gerard Shee battling out there.
No, I was wrong, actually. It's the battle for the championship at the back. It was actually Kuharczyk that stayed in front. It was Shee battling on the rear end of Sharp, as actually very close. The front wing of McIntyre with Colin Queen. Couldn't quite get that done. And now it's a four-way fight down into the Melbourne hairpin.
Yeah, well, McIntyre defending. Max Taylor with a big send to the inside. The number 88, absolutely full send in the Arden Motorsport car. And boom, he's come straight through. That is a big bold send for fourth position. But Will McIntyre's still got a car with alongside as they drag their way down into Goddard's. Max Taylor will get to the outside. Will McIntyre will send it through, and McIntyre will hang on at the moment to fourth position. But Max Taylor will run in fifth. Then it's Freddie Slater. I mean, that is a bold battle, and John Bennett is knocking at the door to throw himself back into the mix. Remember, he needs to outscore Louis Sharp quite comfortably in this race if he's to throw himself back into championship contention.
Yeah, nearly two moves for the price of one. That was by Max Taylor. Unfortunately, couldn't get the move stuck on McIntyre, who got him back at the last corner. But actually, great driving from Freddie Slater to see two cars on his inside and give enough room there. That could easily have been a 3-1 doesn't go sort of situation. So great heads-up driving from all three of them.
Arthur Rojon, though, continues to lead here at Donington Park, looking for another victory in GB3. He's up to a couple.
Wide goes. That was the 27. It's Freddie Slater, just went a little bit wide through McLean's and lost the place to John Bennett, and now actually he's going to be under pressure from Timothée Kuharczyk.
Yeah, indeed. Kuharczyk obviously feeling the pressure as well, directly behind. He's got championship rival and championship leader not too far behind him, but obviously Kuharczyk doesn't care about that. He's trying to find his way past Freddie Slater, who will be putting up a fair fight, not just because it's a fight for position, but also because it's a fight against the championship leader's teammate. Talk us through the replay.
Yeah, well, it's the slow start from the 88 Arden car of Max Taylor on the left-hand side. I was actually going to mention that he was quite a long way back off his grid box compared to everyone else, but heard from him at the end of yesterday's race. He didn't actually do a standing race start until this weekend, because of course he's mostly out in America where rolling starts are the norm. But there you can see in the back of shot, it is Schwarzer, just ran a little bit wide, got two wheels on the gravel, that dragged him off, followed also by the numbers. Is that Noah Ping? Yeah, it was Noah Ping who also ran wide, so that's why Noah Ping's dropped down a bit further. We just cut back to Adi Kulkarni having a look up the inside of Gerard Shee. Hang on, Gerard Shee's dropped back. We missed that while we were watching the replay.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, Adi Kulkarni's running really well in 11th position, and Colin Queen has the fastest lap of the race at the moment.
Still and he's in third.
And he's looking for his first podium in GB3 as Colin Queen. We'd love to see it, as there comes the look to the inside. That was really close with Josh Erfin trying to find his way past Hugo Schwarzer. That's for 18th position at the moment in this race, as we have side by side Jared Wilberski trying to get around the outside of Nikita Johnson. Sorry, it's Nikita Johnson getting down the inside rather, so the switch position. So Johnson's up to 12th. There's a car off the road. I think that's Sebastian Murray.
Yeah, it's great racing up and down the field. These drivers all pushing very hard early on in the races. Now Max Taylor's defending from John Bennett. John Bennett really wants to get through here to try and gain an extra point or an extra couple of points in his championship challenge. Max Taylor, of course, not racing in the championship for the start of the first few rounds of the season, so just here for experience and to make a name for himself in the UK. John Bennett fighting for the championship, so hopefully that's a clean fight for John Bennett's sake more than anything. But we've seen great racing with many of the drives this weekend, and now Louis Sharp putting pressure on his teammate of Freddie Slater, trying to go around the outside of the last corner. He'll be brave to get that one done. Yeah. Slide out the exit, can't get that done, so no team orders here, Lewis.
Also, look at that, Louis Sharp and of course, well, Freddie Slater was already ahead, but Kuhartik's dropped back, so he's now behind Louis Sharp, so Louis Sharp's going to be pulling out an even larger championship lead as well.
Yeah, there's been more. I think there was, when we were watching that replay at the start, there was a lot going on, because it was Shee ahead of the whole lot, and he's dropped back to potentially Slater. Oh my goodness, Sharp going up the inside of the crane, a curve, that's bold, and we go side by side into the old hairpin. We'll talk about the positions in a moment, because this battle is raging on between the two Rodin drivers.
I think Louis Sharp's he's desperate to try and work his way through whilst he's got a gap to teammate Kuhartik before Kuhartik closes his way back in. So Louis Sharp is fighting to find his way past his teammate Freddie Slater in just for this round in GB3. I'm sure we'll be seeing him quite a lot in the years to come with Freddie Slater. He's such a fantastic talent in the world of motorsport. Had that podium stripped from him though in the previous race, so still podiumless this weekend. I think that's probably going to end that way, but Louis Sharp won't be too happy to be still sitting behind his teammate.
No, Sharp will be thinking, come on, Freddie, oh, wait, I've got a championship to go and win here. But Freddie Slater, of course, very much in it for himself. This is different to Formula One. Of course, the drivers do race for teams, but they are largely either paying or have sponsors paying for their seats as opposed to being paid by the team. So it's not exactly an obligation to get out of the way of your teammates, because you're very much in it for yourself.
Yeah, indeed, you're a customer at the end of the day to a certain degree. So I'm pretty sure, like you say, you're out there representing yourself. And as much as there are certain occasions where the team will be like, look, if you don't mind, would you kindly?
Here we go.
Let's see what happened.
Yeah, so here we go. So Sharp's saying, come on, Freddie. Look, you see him in the car pointing forward, saying, let's go, Freddie. I've got to get away from these two high-tech Pulse 8 cars behind me for my championship bid. But no, Freddie is determined to hold on to that 7th place. Sharp once again looking in the crane of curves. Darts to the outside. We've cut to John Bennett ahead. Let's hope we can cut back to the drivers fighting, the two Rodin drivers fighting.
They won't have switched.
No, they won't have done, but actually Sharp's lost track position to Slater is now coming under pressure from his direct championship rival, Timothée Kuhartik.
Will Mack has the fastest lap of the race, currently running in 4th position at the moment after Rojon still leads the way at present. But these gaps, like I say, they are still very close. It's Rojon from Cresswell, from Queen, from McIntyre, from Taylor. The top 5 with John Bennett running in 6th position, then Freddie Slater, then of course Louis Sharp, Timothée Kuhartik and Gerard Shee. Surely Kuhartik's not going to receive any pressure from Gerard Shee, so we can go fully on the attack here on Louis Sharp.
Well, you say that, but you'd also, in the same vein, you could say that Freddie Slater is probably not going to put up much of a fight for Louis Sharp. So Lewis, you know, team what team? It's everyone out there for themselves. But one thing I've noticed, Lewis, we're only 5 laps into this race. We've had a lot of good racing, a lot of close racing. Everyone's been pushing hard. It's a 25-minute race, 17 laps. There's been a lot of drivers running over track limits that I've seen, and we've still got a fair way to go. So I'm going to keep an eye on the live timing to see if we have any warnings, or even more so towards the end of this race. Fastest lap from Colin Queen once again. So Colin Queen has got some good pace at this stage of the race. 24.2, a good 2/10 fast on both of our leaders, Rojon and Cresswell. And we cut back to that lead battle. That is Queen, a fastest man on the circuit for Fortec Motorsport, number 62. And Colin Queen, of course, organised the British Heart Foundation sponsored raffle where I think it is, someone won the opportunity to wave the checker flag in this race. It is
Dermot from Ireland.
Dermot won that raffle for putting a £5 in to donate towards British Heart Foundation, and Dermot will be holding the checker flag in this race. I wonder if we'll get a shot of it later on, but if not, then well done, Dermot.
I'm sure we've been told we are definitely getting a shot of that. And wonderful. If not, even it's going to be a treasured memory regardless. There's Colin Queen firing his way through, keeping it well within track limits and under the eagle eye of head steward Piers Pryor. Obviously, very much under the track limits. My goodness.
Lewis, I'm definitely nowhere near educated enough for that.
I've seen your driving. You definitely.
The less said about that, the better. Anyway, safe here in the commentary box is everyone. So we're looking back at this battle still for 7th and 8th place between Slater and Sharp. Then Kuharczyk in the 22 there for High-Tech Pulsate, just looming in behind. The race has kind of settled down. We had a frantic start, first few laps. Everyone's kind of settled down, maybe letting the tyres bed in, finding their relative pace compared to the drivers around them. But we've had a bit of moving and shaking. Of course, it was Sharp who's made up a fair few positions, as has Kuharczyk as well. Go on.
We've almost got a little bit of a bug there because it's just popped up again that Colin Queen set the fastest lap of the race. That is actually because Arthur Rojon has just set the fastest lap of the race, but it's the exact same time as Colin Queen. So if you're wondering why that graphic appeared again, that is because it's technically true. They've both set a 1 minute 24.226, which is actually quite impressive to have them both at exactly the same time.
Yes, but if the race were to end with those fastest laps, it would be Colin Queen that would be chalked down because
it was had it first.
It was normally the driver who does that lap time first. Although saying that, quick is going Taylor, Max Taylor in the Arden Motorsport car, fastest in the first section on that lap. So drivers still finding a little bit of lap time out there on circuit. Tyres are still coming towards them a little bit. That is the fastest man in the first sector, and also quickest in the second sector was Freddie Slater. So everyone's still going a little bit quicker, and it'll be interesting to see as the race wears on. Some drivers may have protected their tyres a little bit more than others. Not protecting his tyres no, it wasn't Bennett. That was, it was Bennett power sliding his way out of the hairpin there. Because if the pace drops away from some of these drivers at the end of the race, potentially they might have been pushing a little too hard too soon before the tyres were ready for it.
Yeah, indeed. Again, this is a longer race than what we normally have in GB3. Now, typically what we've had with these is there is confirmation. Taylor, Max Taylor does set the fastest up of the race at 24.069. Couple of tenths faster than our race leaders. Now, normally when we've had this longer race, it's normally been slowed down a little bit by safety cars, and with it being a 25-minute race, or in this case 17 laps, when the safety car comes out, it almost always goes to time, and so we'll see this full. I don't necessarily see a safety car coming out at the moment, especially with how everyone's driving. I would have thought it would have come out much earlier on in the race with how everyone was racing hard. That said, you never really know. I think we'll see the entirety of the 17 laps of this race. The reason why I say that is because it's so much more high speed and more high attack around here, and you do go through that tyres. Track limits for car 88.
Track limits, is that a penalty already? Max Taylor, well, he set the fast lap on that last lap. Potentially he left the circuit a couple of times to achieve it, because he is the first driver only 8 laps into a 17-lap race to receive that penalty. So he could be leaving the circuit 1 or 2 more times and me seeing himself getting that penalty extended. And I'm certain there will be other drivers who will have left the circuit a number of times.
Now, and again, I'm not 100% sure as to what the ruling is here, but I'm pretty sure it's, again, this is commentator's pretty sure, so let's go with that, is that you have a certain amount of times you can exceed track limits before you get a warning. The next time you exceed track limits, you get a penalty, and then the next time you exceed track limits, you get another penalty.
Yeah, basically.
It's not, you don't go back to having a couple of warnings again.
No.
You get a penalty the next time you do it.
It's effectively, I think it's like 2 or 3 free passes, then the next one's a warning, the next one's 5 seconds, the next one's 10 seconds, 15, 20, and then eventually you'll get basically black flags or drive-through penalties. So yeah, Max Taylor's still got a long way to go and a lot of corners to not leave track limits. And to be fair, the drivers, they're pushing right on the limit, and the reason that they, you might say to the drivers, just don't leave the tracks, you won't get a penalty. But to get the most lap time out of these GB3 cars, or any race car in any matter, you really need to use every inch of the circuit. So that means right up to the white lines on the entry to the corner, take as much apex curb if they're flat as possible in the middle of the corner, and then run as wide as you can on the exit, because that's the way you can carry the most speed through the corner and onto the next straight. And it's so easy to just have a micro slide or a gust of wind which can push you a little bit wide, or you push a little bit too hard into the corner, and then just run 2 wheels over the track limits on the exit. Do that 2 or 3 times, and you could be looking at a penalty or a warning. So yeah, easier said than done, and that's why we do see track limits penalties coming in. And let's not forget as well, these drivers, they may be very skilled, very talented and proficient at driving these cars, but they are also learning, they're pushing, they're learning how to get the most out of a racing car early on in their racing career, and they haven't got the the refinement and precision maybe of like a Formula 1 driver, because the drivers that got to Formula 1, they've had to go through this stage of learning, right, this is how hard I need to push to make sure I don't go over track limits, but also get the most out of the car. So it's something that these drivers will need to learn, is to, how to avoid the penalties while maintaining the speed.
Especially for Taylor, who's in his first weekend in this. Number 9 and the number 10 have also received penalties. We've got a car in the pit lane.
Yeah, Josh Irfan has ducked into the pits with no front wing, so he's had contact, I would imagine, or gone through the gravel trap somewhere on circuit. He was hanging around with Hugo Schwarzer, so he was behind Schwarzer, so it was potentially in a battle with Douglas and Cantulas. Again, we haven't seen that yet, so that's speculation at this stage. Is this a replay? Oh no, it's just gone.
It's already gone.
Oh yes, it's already, and then just rubbing over the curbs. Looks like it's just dislodged it even further. So yeah, that's so easily done in these cars. The front wing sticks out so far and so low, you absolutely cannot see it when you're in these cars. If any of you haven't tuned into the GB4 coverage, I got to drive the new for 2025 GB4 car. We'll touch on the penalties in just a moment, but I got to drive the 2025 GB4 car, which is based on this chassis, and when you're in the car, you can't see anything other than the tops of the tyres, and you'll be able to see that firsthand from some of the onboard footage that I had in the in-helmet camera provided thanks to Lucas Blakely. But yeah, so that's
Lucas who did it.
Yeah, Lucas's onboard camera. So yeah, if you're interested in what it actually looks like to drive a GB3 or GB4 car, then head over to the GB4 coverage from this morning and yesterday.
A little bit of exercise for some of our marshals to go and gather that front wing of Josh Irfan back. Yes, to update you again, Patrick Huysenroder was the number 10. That is a 5-second time penalty for him, as well as Jacob Douglas for the Chris Dipman racing car down in 19th position. Both of those receiving 5-second time penalties to join Max Taylor, who also has the 5-second time penalty given out because of exceeding track limits. Not been a good weekend for Patrick Huysenroder, unfortunately, which is a big shame because we know how much speed, we know how much potential he's got, and I got told in qualifying he was looking really good. Then again, everyone's told me this. Oh no, I was looking really good until the red flag came out. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, well, Patrick Huysenroder in that very distinctive liveried JHR car with the sort of Miami blue with flashes and for the hard rock cocktails, but he's shown flashes of really, really good pace, especially I think it was Zandvoort, wasn't he, where he was really strong. Unfortunately this weekend things not quite going his way, but he's got some great mentors behind him. David Brabham, I believe, is his mentor and is helping him with things on and off circuit to get towards his goal of being a professional racing driver. Unfortunately this race is going to drop down a little bit due to that penalty. But this battle is still kind of raging on. It's not quite as close as it once was, but Sharp is still on the back of Slater, although Sharp will be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief that his main championship rival, Timothy Kuharczyk, isn't right up behind his rain light. Because that always adds a bit more jeopardy when you know that your main championship rival's behind you. But if Sharp finishes where he is right now, he will be thinking, you know what, that weekend couldn't have gone much better. I don't want to jinx it. I'm touching wood right now. I'm not trying to bring any ill fortune on anyone, but he's made up a few places in the reverse grid race. He's done it somewhat safely and is still ahead of his main championship rivals, other than Bennett, but Kuharczyk is his closest rival. And unfortunately, that is another track limit penalty for
Max Taylor.
So that 5-second penalty has been upgraded to a 10-second penalty. It's not in addition to.
Yeah, now I did think this. I was going to say it earlier. I was like, there's no way he gets the end of a 5-second time penalty. He's definitely added to that. But to be fair, I think some of the other drivers that have penalties, we're definitely going to see another couple of additions to the penalty list when it comes to track limit excursions. Because it's quite. This is a circuit you can really, if you track limits, the exit of turn 1, the exit of the old hairpin, McLean's, even going through the Foggy ES there. There's quite a few opportunities to exceed track limits. I will update you very quickly, by the way, championship-wise, because I like to update you mid-race as to what's going on. Louis Sharp would be the champion leader on 418 points at the moment. John Bennett would be back up to second position in the championship. He would be 34 points off the championship lead. Timothy Kuharczyk would be on 382, 36 points off the championship lead. So it's nearly a race victory for Louis Sharp.
Yeah, and again, it's not critical that he leaves here with the race victory over Kuharczyk or Bennett, but it's just when you've got a whole race worth of points in the bag over your championship rivals, it just gives you that extra little comfort zone there. You can relax a bit more. I think it would still be a great weekend for either Bennett or Kuharczyk to overhaul Louis Sharp if things finish in this race as they do, because overcoming 30 points in 3 races, especially when Sharp has been so quick recently, you know, that's going to be a tall order.
But unlike previous years, Brands Hatch is our season finale circuit. Normally, you know, for the previous couple of years, few years, we've been ending the season here at Donington Park. We're going to Brands Hatch to round things out this time, which I'm very excited for. It should be a lot of fun. But the reason why I bring that up, and the reason why that's kind of important, is that it is a circuit which bites. Remember back to 2022, Callum Voisin, who looked unbelievably quick going into qualifying.
He was easily the fastest driver.
We were like, yeah, easy, this is going to be an easy Callum Voisin double pole. Binned it.
He threw it off in qualifying and had to start all the races from pretty much the back of the grid. And qualifying is hugely important at Brands Hatch. The stakes are higher for our finale this year, with Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit being a final. So a lot of pressure on that qualifying session, because it is notoriously difficult to overtake in a GB3 car around Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Although we say that, and Callum Voisin did in that year manage to make up, I think in total, over 20 positions in the 3 races. So it can be done, but not easily.
But if let's say, for example, our champ leader in Louis Sharp has that mistake in qualifying and is up against the wall, that's where you'll be thinking, oh, I'm glad they scored those extra points at Donington Park. And so at the moment he's staring, probably thinking, no, do you know what, I'm okay right now. But I think he'd be just that little bit more comfortable going into Brands Hatch if he can just find his way past Freddie Slater, which he is unable to do so. John Bennett fires his way through, another driver who will be desperate to pick up a couple of positions. Do remember that they all will pick up an extra position anyway, courtesy of the 88 Max Taylor, who obviously has a 10-second post-race time penalty at the moment. So both Bennett, so all of Bennett, Sharp and Kuharczyk, our top 3 in the championship, will all gain positions courtesy of that.
Yeah, they'll gain the position point advantage for finishing higher in the race, plus they will gain that extra point each for moving 1 place further forward, the bonus points system. If you are interested about all the bonus point systems and the information about the championship, you can always head to the gb-3.net website, where all of the information about the series is available there, along with regular updates in between race weekends and at race weekends about championships, drivers, and anything you might need to know about the series. And so keep an eye on that. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow all of the GB3 social media accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and all of the above.
God, I can tell you used to work for a YouTube channel, can't you? Goodness me. Straight on it. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, you're on it.
If anyone's watching this right now, why not like this video?
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed the racing at the first half of the race, you know, give the video a like. It helps spread the GB3 Championship further and wider, and that's what we are here to do. Of course, it's a great championship, producing some amazing drivers and also some great racing along the way. And it also is the fastest UK-based championship, basically. These are the fastest cars in the UK at pretty much every circuit.
Yep, they are absolutely rapid beasts, and will be faster next year as well when we bring
faster.
out the 2025. That's going to be very exciting. I can't wait to see it. Obviously, that one we have to wait. We've still got 4 more races, 3 and a bit more races to deal with in this car before we jump our way over into 2025 and see what things are on the horizon. I can't wait. I think 2025 is going to be absolutely excellent here in GB3, but we can't keep our eyes too far ahead, because there's Teammate Kuharczyk, 2nd in the championship at the moment. We'll be dropping back to 3rd at the present position, so it's not ideal. I don't think he's going to lose anything. I don't think he's going to gain anything more in this race. It's just going to be what it is.
Yeah, this second half of the race, everyone's been so closely matched on pace that so far we haven't had a huge amount of movement. Such is the competitiveness of the championship. It's sort of a bit of a juxtaposition that, you know, the championship is so competitive, it can be hard to overtake. And that might not make sense, but because everyone is so close in terms of their lap times, it means that when you get within a couple of tenths of the driver in front, unless they make a mistake, it's very hard to overhaul that little bit of dirty air that you need to drive through to get an overtake on the driver in front. And we haven't looked at this man a huge amount in this race, even though he's dominated from the front of the field. Gap 1.6 seconds back to Mackenzie Cresswell. This is Arthur Rojon for the Rodin team. He started on pole position by qualifying, was it 12th, I think, was it on the grid in the race, in the qualifying session that happened on Saturday morning. Reverse grid pole position, and he's not looked back. track, he's been brilliant. His lap times have been consistent, fast. In fact, his last lap was only 0.2 slower than his overall fastest lap of the race. So going very, very quickly. And he actually does hold the fastest lap of the race, does Rojon. So he's using that clear air to his advantage.
He's showing the pace that Rodin have had. Obviously looking for the clean sweep this weekend. For the 2 previous times that Rojon has started on the front row of the grid, by the way, this season, he's won both of them, obviously at Hungary and at Silverstone. So clearly has good pedigree when it comes from taken away from the front of the field. Clearly builds that pace up as he's going through the weekend, and really shows it when we get to the afternoon race here on Sunday for Mackenzie Cresswell. Maybe a little bit disappointed for Colin Queen though. First podium on the horizon, unless Will McIntyre can do anything about it on this final lap.
Don't jinx it, Lewis. We've seen last lap drama before this weekend. Hopefully we won't see it again, but Colin Queen pushing on to try and even get close to the back of Mackenzie Cresswell. Colin Queen set his fastest lap of the race on that last lap at 24.1, only just over a tenth slower than the fastest lap of the race. So Colin's got great pace in that Fortec Motorsport machine at this stage of the weekend on slick tyres. He's really come on, having moved up from the GB4 Championship last year, and it's great to see alumni of the GB4 moving straight up into the bigger sister of the GB3 cars, and Colin's been really enjoying this season. He struggled, I think, by his own standards in potentially in qualifying this year, which hasn't made things easy for him, but in races he has been rapid and shown great pace at times, and this is exactly one of those times. But the front of the field, this is the man in the reverse grid race, Arthur Rojon.
He's nearly 2 seconds clear of a driver in the top 5 in the championship, and one that's got many a podium to his name, not just in race 3s, but in race 1s and 2s. That's, of course, Mackenzie Cresswell sat behind. For Arthur Rojon, though, it'll be an important victory for him. A 3rd victory in GB3, a 6th podium for him, and it means that Rodin take the clean sweep here at Donington Park. It's Rojon on top, as we can see the flag there being waved by Dermot from Ireland. Hello.
Dermot was our raffle winner, or say our, Colin Queen's British Heart Foundation raffle winner, so great moment for Dermot. And also for Colin Queen, it's a good thing for him. And you can see the Rodin Motorsport team there celebrating a great weekend. Clean sweep for Rodin Motorsport in the GB3 Championship at Donington Park, with a race 1 win, Louis Sharp. Race 2 win, Louis Sharp. Race 3, Arthur Rojon.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they've been incredible so far. There is a good look at Dermot.
Concentrating hard, doesn't want to get anything wrong here. Will have been briefed by the marshals.
Do not drop the flag. Most important bit, don't drop the flag. I'm sure that's happened before on more than one occasion.
Have you done that, Lewis? Is that what you're saying?
No, goodness me. I would never be trusted. I think even if I'd have put the 5 in and they'd been like, you can do it, I'd look at me like, I don't think you want that. No one wants me to be waving that flag. But either way, someone who is happy to wave whatever flag at the moment, it is Arthur Rojon, the Frenchman who was donning on a German shirt the last time, the first time that he won in GB3. That was, of course, at the Hungarian round.
Yep.
This time, though, taking a very solid victory. And it's his 3rd one. I mean, he's shown he can do it fairly consistently now.
Absolutely. Arthur will be, he'll be disappointed that he's not qualifying closer and higher up to his teammates, but at the same time...
Oh, no.
What's happened, Lewis?
Colin Queen had a time penalty.
No. Oh, Colin.
Oh, Colin.
Oh, no. That is absolutely gutting. That will be for track limits. We didn't see that pop up on our screen. So, Colin, a brilliant drive from Colin, but unfortunately, you've got to stay within track limits. That's just the fact of motorsport. And, yeah, it will be gutting for him because, he had such a good race up to then. So, Lewis will run you through the provisional results shortly, but that does promote Will McIntyre into 3rd position. Yeah. Colin Queen dropping down to 8th, splitting Kuharczyk and Shi. Oh no, I'm disappointed, Lewis.
I'm devastated.
We were so happy to see Colin on the podium. We would have been so happy to see Colin on the podium.
We do like a little bit of Colin Queen. He's a proper character here in GB3. We do have quite a lot of characters in the paddock, and Colin Queen is most certainly one of them. Obviously, he's one of those that was promoted up from GB4 into GB3 after a good run last year. But it'll be a big shame for him for not to not take the podium. There's the note that Will McIntyre's already got, so he'll roll his way into 3rd place, and there is Arthur Rojon straight into the top step. Mackenzie Cresswell with them. I mean, again, it's just one of those things. That's one of the joys of racing, is that sometimes you get those high highs where you're like, yep, finally I've grabbed that podium, and other times you have it ripped away from you at the last moment. It just happens.
Yeah, well, that is motorsport. Motorsport teaches you a lot. It does give you absolutely soaring highs, but also crushing lows at times. But that builds resilience, and these drivers will need that if they're going to become professional racing drivers, or hey, even if they don't end up fulfilling that dream, it will serve them well in later life. But this is a high of highs for Arthur Rojon.
Is that saying about yourself? Obviously, the high highs of you not succeeding in motorsport, but still being able to join me in the commentary booth.
I'd much rather be here, Lewis.
Is that true? That's he's left. He's gone. He's absolutely out of it. Either way, obviously we'll see the podium and we'll catch up with them in a moment. Louis Sharp, obviously over there to receive the Obligato ones to watch. I wonder who's got the Sunoco fastest lap award as well. That might be. To be fair, I would almost assume it's for Arthur Rojon, because I would assume this race is fast. That said, I can't remember. That race must have been faster than the Saturday race. So it could be Arthur Rojon to take the Sunoco fastest lap of the weekend award, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. We'll see it on the podium anyway when it's all handed out, so don't worry too much. As obviously straight out, it is indeed confirmed. It is Arthur Rojon who has the fastest lap of the weekend, so he'll be receiving the Sunoco fastest lap of the weekend awards. That's always a good sign. And again, the Obligato Ones to Watch award will be for Louis Sharp after the double victory, because that's the race one. It's the total points of race one and race two, and the highest point score of those two takes the Obligato Ones to Watch award for this given weekend. And so that's definitely in the hands of Louis Sharp. Either way, we'll head down to John's to catch up with our top three in the race.
Thank you very much, Lewis. We're going to go and find Arthur Rojon. He's kind of wandered off. Rodin like to celebrate as a team, and that's what they're doing, because they've won 3 races from 3 pole positions. Arthur, excusez-moi, félicitations. Is that it? Is that congratulations? Très bon. Another win, 3 wins from 3 reverse grid races. You're kind of the king of the reverse grid.
Yeah, it's not the great thing to be the king of the reverse grid, but all time we managed to win the 3 races in reverse grid, so yeah, good point for the team. Good weekend also, 3 wins out of 3, 2 pole position. So yeah, really happy for me and for the team.
Obviously have 1 round left at Brands Hatch, 3 more races there. Obviously you don't want to be the king of the reverse grids really, you want to be out there in the first couple of races on the podium. Do you think that's achievable, because the car's great, you've shown that you've got the pace, you can hold people behind you, you can do what you need to do, maybe it just hasn't come together yet this season?
Yeah, really tricky qualifying every time again here. So yeah, I need to put all together in the qualifying to be at the front, and then show what I can do in the race.
Perfect. We have 3 more races in the season to go, but first of all, you're going to get your winner's trophy. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Go Arthur Rojon with the Rodin. Sorry for my terrible French. Let's find Will McIntyre, who came 3rd in the end because Colin Crean got a time penalty there. I wasn't aware of it. Hey Will, so how was that race for you? Because I thought Colin Crean was going to come 3rd, but I think he got a track limits penalty, so a little bit of a tricky one for him.
Yeah, I think it was lap 4, like he'd gone off the track 3 times. You go off the track 3 times, that's a 5-second penalty. I saw by lap 4 he'd gone off the track 3 times, so I was like, yeah, P3. I'm not going to be able to overtake him because it's, Donington Park, every corner's high speed, you can't overtake. So yeah, just stayed where I was, kept on the black stuff, and that was it really.
Obviously, you'd have liked to have been on the podium in the first couple of races there, but it didn't quite come together. But you've been on the podium quite a lot. We've got Brands Hatch coming up soon. Going to end the season in style?
That's the plan, yeah.
You've obviously been recognised recently also with the Autosport Aston Martin Award in the final list of 10. That must be quite nice for you to be, I know you'd prefer to win races and whatever, but it's nice to be recognised.
Yeah, exactly, and I think as well in a year that hasn't really been too great for me, especially. I'm not where I am in a championship. I really want to be fighting, especially against Louis and Timmick and John for the championship lead. And the last 2-3 rounds have just been less than ideal. So yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and if I get into that top 4, I know I'm going to give it my all to just try and prove that. Yeah, I've got what it takes.
Yeah, a chance to drive a Formula 1 car at the end of that. So best of luck with that, and congratulations today.
Thank you.
Okay, Will McIntyre coming third with High-Tech Pulsate. Where is Mackenzie Creswell? We speak again. Another podium for you. How was the race out there? Because it felt like it was kind of hard to overtake. All the drivers on new tyres.
Yeah, it was. There was no tyre deficit for anyone, so it was a little bit difficult because everyone was on a relatively similar pace. But yeah, it was a bit of a boring race, to be honest. It was kind of a bit of a procession. Sorry, didn't quite have the pace to make the move, sadly. But yeah, it is what it is. We got another podium in the bag, which is good. would have rather come in the first 2 races of the weekend, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. So still happy to get on the podium.
Yeah, podium's a podium. I think we've got to get to the podium now, so we'll let you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There we go. Mackenzie Creswell with Elite Motorsport. I'm not entirely sure who that lady is, but I'm sure we'll find out later. Let's go to the podium with Lewis McGlade.
And of course, to the podium we will await for them to jump up onto. And like you say, for Arthur Ojon, I mean, he said about being a reverse grid, all this, that, and the other. I mean, he did finish in 5th in the previous race. He's currently in the top 10 of the championship. And the reverse grid in this season, counter how it's been in previous seasons, where it's the entire grid that's within a 103% rule based on qualifying. This is not like that. You've got to still be in the top 12. You've got to be in that mid pack. And to be fair, you know, Arthur Ojon showing a significant improvement on what he had last year. Will McIntyre then will move his way onto the podium. It's his first podium since Hungary, which is crazy. A long time we've seen Will McIntyre onto the podium. Of course, we'll await for Mackenzie Creswell to jump his way onto the podium after a victory in the previous round at Silverstone. And then Arthur Ojon, of course, onto the top step for the 3rd time this year. First time, obviously, from the reverse grid pole. Jonathan Palmer will come over, the Chief Executive Officer of, the Chief Executive of MSV, to take over the trophies, as we'll see them. I'll obviously await for Palmer to hand them over. And again, I did wonder. I was like, yep, cool. So Mackenzie Creswell will take the trophy off of Will McIntyre, and they'll swap positions round. Of course, Mackenzie Creswell in 2nd in the race, Will McIntyre in 3rd, and Arthur Ojon into 1st. Again, it's the first time he's had actually a reverse grid pole. He's been on the reverse grid front row a couple of times this season, and he's won from both of those. And of course, so from reverse grid pole, he has won again. 3rd victory, of course, after the victory at the Hungaroring, victory at Silverstone, and victory here. Maybe he'll be the favourite to win the final race of the season. He'll also grab he's been ordered to get straight back onto the podium to receive the Sunoco Fastest Lap award of the weekend. That was courtesy of that final race. I mean, dry conditions. He led from the front and got the opportunity to set the fastest lap of the race, and he took it, and rightfully so. Sets the fastest lap of the weekend. That's the fastest race lap of the weekend as well, so it's not taking into account qualifying. Of course, we'll jump straight though into highlights for round 21. Highlights from round 21 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, in a slow launch from Max Taylor from the 2nd row of the grid, but dropping back behind the number 21 of Will McIntyre into the 1st corner. Great start from Arthur Ojon though, as he was able to lead. Colin Queen starting to feel the pressure from McIntyre, and out wide would go Hugo Schwarzer in the 1st turn. He was able to bring it back onto the road, not before dropping right the way down the order. Just 2 wheels into the gravel, dragging off a couple of other cars with him, including Noah Ping, and the pair of them would drop down the order, unfortunately for Elite Motorsports and Hugo Schwarzer, who's shown some good pace this weekend. Back to last is not where he was expecting. Max Taylor was going on the attack though to try and find his way past Will McIntyre for 4th position, with a big send down the inside into the Melbourne hairpin. He was unable to find his way past. Damage to the front wing of Josh Irvin, who'd be brought back into the pit lane to have that repaired. Unfortunately, he would end up finishing the race, but in last. Arthur Ojon would come through the final corner though to take a 3rd victory in GB3. And we'll take a look then at the provisional race results, of course. Arthur Ojon on the top, 2.3 seconds clear of Mackenzie Creswell, with Will McIntyre being promoted onto the podium after a penalty for Colin Queen. There were a few penalties in this race. John Bennett would also get promoted to 4th, which will help him a little bit in the championship. We'll talk about that in a second, with Freddie Slater in 5th position. Louis Sharp in 6th place, with Timek Kuharczyk in 7th. Colin Queen dropped down to 8th position. I'm sure we'll be very disappointed with it, with Gerard Shee and Aditya Kulkarni inside the top 10. Great weekend from Kulkarni thus far, picking up his 2nd top 10 rather of the season. Nikita Johnson in 11th position, with Jared Oberski in 12th. Sean Rashid in 13th position, with Max Taylor down to 14th. Of course, then Ping, Murray, Schwarzer, Huysenroder, Douglas and Catalyst rounding out the top 20. The final driver would be Josh Irvin, but would still finish on the lead lap. Of course, the fastest lap would go to our race winner Arthur Ojon, and it would be the fastest lap of the weekend. Into the championship side of things though, I say things are kind of as you would expect. Louis Sharp, 422 points, 33 though clear of John Bennett. The reason why I say that, because courtesy of them moving up the positions, John Bennett was the highest placed of them, which actually meant that he gained an extra point courtesy of that. So it's now 33 points for the Champion Bleed. Timmy Kuharczyk, 36 points off the Champion Bleed heading into the season finale. Will McIntyre in 4th is still technically, mathematically in the hunt, but realistically, no. Of course, Mackenzie Cresswell then in 5th is actually outside of it, but he's embroiled in a little fight to try and catch Will McIntyre for the top 4. Gerard Shee, Jared Waberski and Arthur Rosen all fighting over positions for 6th in the championship, and Hugo Schwarzer and Noah Ping battling it out at the back end of the top 10 in the championship. So still a lot to play for everyone heading into the season finale, of course, in a few weeks' time when we go racing at Brands Hatch. But at the moment, it does seem as though Louis Sharp is in control. He is, though, just ahead of John Bennett and Timmy Kuharczyk, who's been joined by Piers Pryor.
Yep, down here with Timek Kuharczyk. Timek, of course, right in the hunt for the championship battle, but how was that race for you?
It was a difficult one. We struggled with the pace quite a lot throughout the race. You know, we thought it will turn out a bit different with the safety cars and so on. So we took a bit of a gamble. It paid off maybe on the first 2 laps, but then yeah, the pace drop was quite big and we struggled a bit. But yeah, anyways, we still grabbed some points, so yeah, not too bad. And you know, there's still quite a lot of positives to take from Brands Hatch.
Absolutely, and it was a strong weekend still from yourself, of course. Unfortunately, Louis had a very, very strong weekend, but you still had some solid results this weekend. You know, 3 good results, so you must be confident at least in the fact that you've had good results on your side.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've proved it on testing and in quali that we're really quick. Also in the races with setting fastest laps and so on. So, you know, it's not bad, I would say. But at the same time, we deserved a bit better. So that's a bit of a shame. But, you know, there's still 3 races to go. A lot can happen, and we just need to focus now maximum on a Brands Hatch and do the best job we can there.
We caught up briefly, or John did before the race, with some of the Polish fans. They were flying the flags. You mentioned to me just off camera a moment ago you could see some around the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Polish flags, to be fair. You know, I just come into the turn 1 and there's like Polish flags waving, and it's so nice to see because, you know, first time probably I experienced such a big of support here, so I'm really grateful for it, and it's so nice to see all these Polish fans, and you know, a lot of people come here, see our races, which is obviously a cool thing.
Yeah, do you want to say a few words to the Polish fans at home or even at the circuit?
Yeah, bardzo dziękuję za całe wsparcie. Wiem, że weekend mógł być trochę lepszy, bo parę błędów po naszej stronie było, ale dalej dosyć mocne rezultaty dowiezione do domu, więc teraz trzeba się skupić po prostu na ostatniej rundzie i dać siebie wszystko.
Timek, thanks so much. We'll let you go and cool off and debrief and get yourself hyped, ready for Brands Hatch. Thank you so much. And we're going to grab another championship rival, John Bennett. Come on in, John. It's good that we've got such a close championship battle. Louis just had such a good weekend, has pulled the gap a little bit, but you're still fighting very hard with that man we've just spoken to.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, you know, all to play for going into the last round. You know, Louis obviously had a dream weekend, but there's no reason why we can't try and repeat the same in Brands and try and get a double pole, double win. So yeah, I mean, all still to play for.
You've got a lot of experience, of course, at Brands Hatch. You've raced in the GB3 Championship before, so you're going to be able to try and use that to try and get a one-up?
Yeah, for sure. You know, you really get no testing around Brands GP, so I think the you know, the race weekends I've had around there will help. And you know, historically JHR have been really strong there too, with Joe winning a race there. So yeah, you know, I think we're in a good place going into it, and yeah, just try and score the most points we can from the last one. So.
Are you thinking like championships on, or are you just going to go out there and think, you know, try and do the best I can and see what happens?
It would just be about maximising what I can do. You know, double pole, double win is our only goal. And, you know, the championship is, you know, whatever will happen. So yeah, just about maximising the results and seeing where that leaves us. So.
Qualifying is going to be important, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, always so hard to overtake in GB3, but Brands is like, you know, even harder than normal. So I think quali it'll be the most important quali of the year, to be honest. So you know, just got to leave nothing on the table and yeah, go for that pole.
Amazing. And just sum up your weekend this weekend so far.
I mean, normally it would be a decent weekend, but where we are in the championship, it's not quite what we wanted. You know, just a little mistake in quali and didn't quite get a second lap in that was that competitive. So you know, I mean, good points, but you know, it's a shame to lose a gap in the championship. So yeah, I mean, work to do at Brands, and yeah, just try and go out in the best way we can.
John, I'm sure you'll fight to the very last lap, and we'll see how the championship turns out. I'll let you go and de-race suit, because I know how sweaty it can be. I was hearing from Timek that it's quite hot out on circuit in that race.
I was just chatting to John about the weather, actually, and he said he wasn't too bothered, and I said, I'm loving it. McDonald's?
Not again.
McDonald's jokes, sponsored by McDonald's. Don't worry, it's fine. It's fine. He didn't think it was funny either. At least you got it this time. Another interesting race. Mackenzie Creswell was telling me that it was kind of a boring race. I hope you didn't find it boring at home. But he said it's a boring race for him because everyone's on new tyres. You know, the track's drying out here. Donington Park, everything very fast. But there we go. It's a great weekend for Rodin. We tried to find Louis Sharp. Louis Sharp is currently being hounded by about 5 or 6 people, so we're not going to get him in time to the end of this broadcast unless he suddenly appears from somewhere. But a great weekend for Rodin, and they managed to do that clean sweep. They started on pole position for every race, and they finished every race in first position. Given that they are fighting High-Tech Pulsate for the championship, I mean, that is a huge swing in their favour now, and you'd think that, I mean, High-Tech Pulsate have got to basically do exactly what Rodin have done in reverse at Brands Hatch, and I guess that Rodin don't get any points at all now because there is a little bit of a gap forming there.
Yeah, there is of course a team's championship as well as a drivers' championship, and the teams want to come away at the end of the year thinking that they have done the best job possible. So yeah, we'll be keeping a close eye on both the drivers and teams championship, but if Rodin carry on with the form that they've had this weekend, they're going to be hard to beat. We saw how good High-Tech were at the away rounds this year, but you know, we know that they can win it on home soil as well. So it's all to play for in just a few weeks' time.
It really is. It's all to play for. Also in the GB4 Championship, a big battle there going on at the top of the table. And we've got one more race coming up this weekend in the GB4 Championship. Around about 10 to 5, we'll start live on that one. So if you want to watch a little bit more racing this Sunday afternoon, join us then. In the meantime, you can check out all the action again from the GB3 Championship, exactly where you're watching it now. As ever, Randy's race report on the GB3 website and all the photos on the social media as well. You might be able to see there's an ice cream van in the distance over there. We didn't think we'd be hitting up the ice cream van this weekend, but given the sun's out right now, I think in between now and GB4, me and Piers are going to get cameraman Ben, to get us an ice cream. Is that all right, Ben? Excellent stuff. Steve, who's in my ear, who's the director, will not be getting an ice cream because he's not willing to put his finger in his pocket. Cameraman Ben is more generous. Thank you. See you at 10 to 5 for GB4.